Great. So you've set a baseline reading speed and comprehension, and you've completed the misconceptions worksheet to pique your curiosity and prime your mind for what you're about to learn. Soon, you'll understand why these steps were so important. So let's dive in and start by improving our memory. To understand why memory improvement should be done before speed reading, I want you to imagine a bucket. Above that bucket, you have a funnel, and pointing into the funnel right now is your regular average garden hose. It's no problem, right? Now, imagine we switch out that garden hose for a fire hose. Big problem. The funnel is immediately overwhelmed, and it's probably blown to smithereens. Water starts spilling everywhere, and in about a nanosecond, the bucket overflows too, and it's not long before you have to shut the water off completely. If we take this metaphor for our learning process, it's easy to understand why we have to first upgrade the bucket and then the funnel before we finally upgrade the hose. You see, the hose itself represents your input speed, or your reading speed, whereas the funnel represents the combination of two different types of memory, your working memory and your short-term memory. You may have heard the term working memory before, since people often incorrectly use it as interchangeable with short-term memory. It's best to explain the difference clearly, though. Working memory is the type of very short-term memory that allows you to remember what I said at the beginning of this sentence so that you could connect it all together and understand the complete idea and then analyze it at the end of the sentence. Like the name suggests, working memory is really for working with and understanding new information in real time. It's actually a lot less about memory than about understanding and analysis. One last point on working memory. Our brains do use several different types of buffers to work with the various types of information. This basically means that words, ideas, images, and scenes, they don't all use the same path to get to the short-term memory. But we'll get to all that and why it's important a little bit later. So, what is that short-term memory then? Well, once you've used your working memory to process, understand, and interact with a piece of information, your short-term memory is what keeps it in your mind for about 15 to 20 seconds. This might seem like a really short amount of time, and it is. That's why, for the majority of the course, we're going to focus on improving the connection all the way from your working memory to your long-term memory. This is because if you do a good enough job creating those short-term memories that'll stick till you get to the end of a page or an article, you'll only need to use some simple review techniques and regular maintenance to keep things in your long-term memory, where we eventually want all our new information to remain. This means that right now, our working and short-term memory are the primary bottlenecks. Without the right infrastructure and base skill set to improve these two types of memory, speed reading is pretty useless, even impossible. This is why I personally failed twice before reaching Anna's course. It's also why a lot of people think that speed reading is a myth, because most speed reading courses want to get you in and out as quickly as possible, and to do that, all that's necessary is to give you the illusion that you're reading faster. If you've ever played around with some of those speed reading applications like Spritz, or tried out the method in Tim Ferriss's popular article, Scientific Speed Reading, How to Read 300% Faster in 20 Minutes, you'll know that reading faster is not that big of a challenge until you realize that you likely comprehend nothing. Even Ferriss himself is unable to offer any advice for this, besides urging people not to be too concerned with comprehension or retention. It'll somehow magically catch up. But comprehension and retention, or actually understanding and remembering what you read, are the major challenges to speed reading that most people fail to overcome. Don't believe me? No problem. Let's read an article together at my average speed. As you can see, reading this quickly is actually not nearly as challenging as you might think. Like Tim Ferriss, I could teach you to do it in 10 to 20 minutes. Storing memories at this speed, however, is a totally different challenge. How many of you comprehended what you were reading? How many of you actually remember it? And better yet, how many of you will remember it 1 hour from now? To put it bluntly, this is why we need to upgrade your memory first and foremost. Unfortunately, academic institutions don't teach sophisticated memory or learning techniques. We're expected to just remember things without ever being taught the proper skills to store a large number of effective, high-quality memories fast. This means that most of us, when we have to learn new information, are subjected to rote memorization or very basic mnemonic devices. If you remember the phrase I before E except after C, or you ever use the mathematical mnemonic PEMDAS, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These methods are hugely effective for children learning simple things like mathematical conventions, but they don't allow us much flexibility with the information, and we become highly dependent on them. For example, how many of you can tell me what the 11th letter of the English alphabet is? Honestly, even I can't do it because I learned that using a song. So I only know that information chronologically, and like most of you, I have to sing through the song in my head to arrive at the answer. By the way, it's K. Furthermore, what if you had to memorize much more complex information, such as the chronological order of historical events, or all the ligaments in the human body? For that, you need an entirely new set of memorization skills, ones that give you a richer understanding of the material way beyond songs or acronyms. Fortunately, this is not boring stuff at all. This is a general theory on how to improve learning, not just for reading, but also for meeting new people, learning new skills, and so much more. While we work our way through the course, you'll be able to apply these skills in your daily life, and that will keep you engaged, motivated, and thirsty for the next set of skills. And that by itself is a hugely important aspect of accelerated learning. If you don't use it, you literally lose it. And as we'll learn, it's very hard to learn new things unless we're able to generate some interest and passion around them.